Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi Yahya.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alhamdulillah, in the last session, we've started our journey of Sarf, and straight away we went deep into the discussion of Fi'l Madi and the scales of Fi'l Madi. Like I mentioned at the beginning, you just want to start doing the scales and start repeating the scales on your tongue. And yesterday, and in the last session, we basically covered فعل فعلا فعلوا فعلت فعلتا فعلنا فعلت فعلتما فعلتم فعلت فعلتما فعلتن then فعلت فعلنا, the 14. One thing you should do when you actually read these scales, as I did mention yesterday, as I did mention before, that after 3 you take a breath, after 6, then after 9, and then after 12. Now, I've not explained this in detail, and I don't want to explain it in detail right now. It will be explained in much more detail after a few sessions. But the system briefly goes as 1, 2, 3. So this is singular, this is dual. As I'll explain later, Arabic has dual format as well, and then it has plural, 3 or more. Again, that's singular, dual, and plural. And then singular, dual, and plural, 3. And then singular, dual, and plural. Ignore the last two for now. And the first 3 are for males, third person. By the way, I'll be repeating and explaining this properly later, but there's a reason why I just want to say it briefly right now. The next 3 are for females, third person. I'll explain all of this later. Then the next 3 are for males again, second person. Second person means you're talking to that person in front of you. Whereas third person means you're talking about someone who's not there. And the next 3 are females, second person. As you can imagine, the final 2 will be first person when you're talking about yourself. So this one is when you're talking about yourself. And then in first person, there's just singular and plural. So 2 and 3 both are included here. That's first person. By the way, ignore this if you never understood it, because I've not really explained it. Now I'll explain it later. The reason I mentioned it right now is you might see a pattern, especially in the first 12, 3, 3, 3, 3, where it's 3 males, 3 females, 3 males, 3 females. So now, what I normally say to Arabic or Sarf students is for example, right hand will be the males, the left hand will be the females. And 1, 2, and 3. So with your thumb first, and then with your index finger, and then with your middle finger. If you can make an expression with your hand, it just makes it easier. Hand-eye coordination will help you learn the Sarf much better. Hand-mouth coordination will make your Sarf become much stronger. So now when I'm going to read it, I'm going to read it again, breathe after every 3. But on the first 3 males, I'm going to point with my right hands, with my fingers, 1, 2, 3. And then the next 3 in the females with the left hand, I'll do 1, 2, 3. And then the next 3 with the males, again on the right hand, I'll do 1, 2, 3. And then with the females, I'll do 1, 2, 3. So it just makes me really engage with the Sarf. So I'll do it first, and then Yahya will repeat. فَعَلَ فَعَلَا فَعَلُوا فَعَلَتْ فَعَلَتَا فَعَلْنَا فَعَلْتَ فَعَلْتُمَا فَعَلْتُمْ فَعَلْتِ فَعَلْتُمَا فَعَلْتُنَّ فَعَلْتُ فَعَلْنَا. Yep, Yahya, if you can repeat as well, but breathe after everything and use your right and left hand and coordinate through that.
And just to clarify, the right is for male and the left is for female.
Correct. Obviously, it's up to each individual, but you just need to be consistent. Or else, if you're not consistent, then you won't be able to concentrate. Yep.
فعلا فعلا فعلوا فعلت فعلتا فعلنا فعلت فعلتما فعلتم فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن فعلت فعلنا.
Very good. Okay, now let's go through the next one, which is fu'ila. Now, what's the difference between fa'ala and fu'ila? I'll explain that later in a future session. Explanation we're not doing right now. Right now, we're just doing the reading. And trust me, from my experience, I know that basically right now, you just need to just keep reading the scales, tasbih of the scales. After your salah, do tasbih of the scales. Throughout the day, working, etc. Just do tasbih of the scales. Keep repeating the scales. Once the scales on your tongue, that is the most important thing. 90% of sarf, or more than 90% of sarf knowledge, is all about that. All the other stuff is very easy to understand. We can understand it later, which we will, inshallah. So now let's go on to the second line. So we've done the first line. Now let's go on to the second line. Second line, you'll notice is very similar, just a slight difference in all of them. But you'll notice the ending is the same. It's just the first three letters, the harakah will be slightly different. So let's start. Fu'ila, fu'ila, fu'ilu. Yahya, if you can repeat 3 times.
فعل 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 فعل
فعلت فعلتا فعلنا.
فعلت فعلتا فعلنا فعلت فعلتا فعلنا فعلت فعلتا فعلنا
فعلت فعلتما فعلتم.
فعلت فعلتما فعلتم فعلت فعلتما فعلتم فعلت فعلتما فعلتم
فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن.
فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن
فعلت فعلنا.
فعلت فعلنا فعلت فعلنا فعلت فعلنا.
Very good, mashallah. I'll read it all once, and then if you can repeat it 3 times after that. فعل فعل فعلوا. فعلت فعلتا فعلنا. فعلت فعلتما فعلتم. فعلت فعلتما فعلتن. فعلت فعلنا. By the way, whilst reading it, it would be good to use your right and left hand as explained earlier.
فعل فعل فعلوا فعلت فعلتا فعلنا فعلت فعلتما فعلتم فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن فعلت فعلنا فعل فعلا فعلوا فعلت فعلتا فعلنا فعلت فعلتما فعلتم فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن فعلت فعلنا فعل فعلا فعلوا فعلت فعلتا فعلنا فعلت فعلتما فعلتم فعلتي فعلتما فعلتن فعلت فعلنا.
Very good, mashallah. May Allah increase your knowledge. May Allah put barakah in knowledge. So now all I want everyone to do, all the students to do, is just keep repeating this throughout your day. Tasbih. Just keep doing tasbih of this throughout your day. Do the fu'ila one, the second line, and also keep doing the first one, because that's still fresh. You just learned it recently, so it's important to keep doing the revision along with the new part. Now, before we leave, I just want to briefly explain the difference between the two in terms of reading. Notice the ending is the same. Let's just take an example for fa'alti and fu'ilti. So ti and ti. Let's take another example. The last one. Fa'alna and fu'ilna. So notice all the endings are the same. Did you notice that, Yahya?
Ji.
Yeah. The only difference is the first 3 letters. In the first line, it was fa'ala. Fa'ala. In the second line, it was fu'ila. Now, there's a grammatical and meaning reason behind it why we do that, but we're not explaining all the meanings, etc. right now. But literally, that's the only difference between the two, the harakah. Now, in terms of meaning or why there's this difference, all that we'll understand when we come to the meanings behind it, the further discussions behind it. But I stress, all of the further discussions and the meanings will be very easy to explain. What's more important is getting the scales used to, getting the scales accustomed on your tongue. So that's why we just need to keep repeating the scales. And trust me, when I say this from experience of teaching many students sarf, you just need to keep repeating the scales at this stage. All the other learning and the understanding behind it will come in its appropriate time. Is that okay, Yahya?
Ji, that's okay.
Jazakallah khairah. Inshallah, we'll meet next time for the next scales, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Any questions?
No, you just recommend just to keep repeating them again and again.
Just keep repeating. Don't worry about no understanding. Sarf, in sarf, as I mentioned in the previous session, it might sound a bit rude saying this, but it's a message we want to get through. It's all about just barking the scales, barking the scales. Just keep saying the scales. And trust me when I say this, just do tasbih of this throughout the day. The more you do it, the better your scales will be. And again, trust me on this, that these scales are not just for one word of Arabic. This will be representing thousands of words. So if you really practice and make the scale strong, you really, as you will very soon find out, you'll basically be practicing and strengthening thousands of Arabic words on your tongue. So just keep practice, practice, practice. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.